The mountains of Kunar province had always been cruel, but that morning they felt cursed. A Marine recon team, just 7 of them, were pushing through a narrow valley when the radio crackled with an eerie silence. No chatter, no distant hums, nothing. Sergeant Mills felt it first. The quiet before a storm. Seconds later, the world exploded. Gunfire rained from 3 ridgelines at once. PKM bursts stitched the rocks, RPGs screamed down from the cliffs, and dirt kicked up like fountains around the Marines. "We're surrounded," Lance Corporal Ortiz shouted as he slammed behind a boulder. Their escape route was gone, their comms were failing, and visibility was dropping fast as a cold morning mist rolled in. The Taliban had used it as cover, slipping into positions high above. The Marines fired back, but their angles were terrible. They were pinned so tight that even raising a helmet drew a dozen rounds. It wasn't a firefight, it was an execution countdown. The team leader tried calling air support, but the signal kept breaking. Their ammo was running dangerously low. The enemy was tightening the noose, shouting in the local language as they moved down the slopes. The Marines prepared for the worst. This valley had swallowed entire platoons before, and now it was hungry again. Then, in the middle of the chaos, something bizarre happened. The gunfire suddenly paused just for a breath. A softer sound floated across the valley. Footsteps, gear. No one knew. The mist thickened until even the nearest ridge disappeared behind a gray curtain. Ortiz wiped his eye, sure he was seeing wrong, but then the shape grew clearer. A lone figure was walking toward them through the fog, slow, steady, unafraid. A shadow at first. Then details became unmistakable. A woman, a sniper. And not just any sniper. Her ghillie suit blended so perfectly into the mist it looked like she was stitched from smoke. Her name was Staff Sergeant Lena Hart, the Marine Corps' most elusive scout sniper, temporarily attached to a different unit miles away. No one knew how she found them. No one knew why she was here. But she carried her rifle like it weighed nothing, and her expression was cold steel. As she reached cover, she didn't say hello. She didn't ask about casualties. She simply chambered around, took one knee, and whispered, "I got your top ridge." Before anyone could respond, her rifle cracked once, echoing like thunder in the valley. The Marine saw a Taliban commander collapse instantly. Another shot, another man fell, then another. Hart's tempo was impossible. She wasn't shooting, she was dismantling the ambush, piece by piece. The enemy suddenly panicked. They had no idea a sniper was in the valley, and now they were being hunted in their own trap. For 20 straight minutes, Hart moved like a ghost. She crawled, repositioned, vanished, reappeared, and fired with surgical precision. Each time the Taliban tried to flank, she cut the spearhead off. Each time they attempted to rush forward, she dropped the point man. The Marines regained their confidence and reorganized. Sergeant Mills rallied them. "Hart's giving us a window push, right?" They maneuvered along a rock shelf, firing controlled bursts, no longer fighting to survive, but fighting to win. With Hart thinning the high ground shooters, the Marines could finally lift their heads without losing them. Twice she took impossible shots across the valley through gaps in the fog, shots that even Mills, a veteran of 3 deployments, couldn't believe were real. How the hell can she even *C* them? One Marine whispered. But Hart wasn't just shooting. Between engagements, she patched comms wires, recalibrated the radio, and even signaled for backup via short-burst encrypted taps. Finally, a distant rumble grew in the sky. A pair of AH-1Z Vipers, alerted by her signal relay, swept in like angels of wrath. Rockets streaked toward enemy clusters, scattering fighters across the mountainside. The ground shook, the pressure lifted. For the first time since the ambush began, the Marines felt the tide turning. The enemy, who had confidently surrounded the team minutes earlier, was now fighting to escape. By noon the valley was silent. Smoke curled from shattered rocks, and the mist had finally lifted, showing the full battlefield, a place that looked like a war movie set on fire. The Vipers circled once more, and peeled away. The Marines exhaled, as if breathing for the first time. As the team gathered themselves, Sergeant Mills approached Hart, expecting a speech, maybe an explanation. Instead, she just stood quietly, brushing dirt from her suit. "How did you find us?" Mills asked. Hart shrugged. "Heard the radio stuttering. Figured someone was in trouble. That was it. No drama, no heroism, just duty." The Marines later learned that Hart had trekked nearly 4 miles alone through hostile terrain after noticing irregular comms traffic. She had crossed ridges in freezing wind, climbed shale cliffs, and entered the valley through a route even locals avoided. Her intervention saved every Marine in the recon team. The Corps wrote a formal commendation, and the story spread quickly, another chapter in the whispered legends of elite snipers. But for Hart, it was just another day in a job few understood. As the team extracted, Ortiz muttered, "We were surrounded," and she walked out of the mist like the war belonged to her. The others nodded. The Valley had tried to claim 7 Marines that morning. Instead, it met the one woman who walked fearlessly into the fog and came out with victory in her hands. Like a video and subscribe to the channel Story Sphere.